Welcome back to yet another episode of the Inverted Microphone. My name is Rees Goodall, joined by the great Joa'o Lara Jr. on this beautiful Monday morning. Had to double check that because if you remember last week, Joa'o didn't show up on Monday. Hashtag I wonder why. But we have a jam-packed weekend of Premier League football to review. Got our annual, or weekly rather, winners and losers segment to talk about. Got some transfer window talk as well. It closes in approximately an hour and a half. So there may be some breaking news live on this podcast, which you'll hear first on the inverted microphone. Then some very, very early summer transfer window preview talk to round out the show. Joa'o Lara Jr. Monday morning, 10:30, hanging out with the fellas on the inverted microphone. How you doing?
I feel amazing. Yeah, the bed wasn't as comfortable this week as it was last week, but happy to be here as well. And honestly, I was happy with all the Premier League results this weekend. We had some pretty good games on our hands, and I'm ready to talk about them as well.
I'm glad to hear the bed wasn't as comfortable. Um, was the room as dark as it was too last week?
No, it was not. Last week it was pitch black. I could not see anything.
Yeah, that's quite concerning. That's not how you get up, rise and grind, and attack the morning, because as we've said multiple times, I've said multiple times, it's 2026. It's the year of Kai Cenat. It's the year of rise and grind. But more importantly, it's the year of Premier League football. We've got some Premier League action to talk about, as promised. Joa'o Lara Jr. winners and losers segment. Before we get into that, let's just have an overall look at the Premier League weekend and the fixtures played. That is one noisy boy there, Joa'o Lara. Good swig of water for you. Started off Saturday, Brighton drew 1-1 with Everton. Leeds United 4-0 loss at home to Arsenal. Bournemouth went on the road to Wolves. They won 2-0. Chelsea 3-2 win over West Ham. And then Liverpool 4-1 win over Newcastle United. Then on Sunday, Aston Villa hosted Brentford only to lose to 10 men. Brentford 1-0. Man United, Joa'o Lara 3-2 win over Fulham. Joa'o Lara scored the hat trick in that game to lift his side over Fulham. And then Nottingham Forest 1-1 draw with Crystal Palace. And then probably the biggest match of the day without a doubt, Tottenham Hotspur 2-2 draw with Manchester City. And then Sunderland versus Burnley later today. Joa'o Lara Jr., I'm going to start first with a winner and a loser. All right? I'm doubling up. My first winner of the week is Arsenal because of the fact that they got back into the win column. They won 4-0 in comprehensive fashion. They did it the Arsenal way. They had a couple set piece goals, but they were overall dominant. They did not allow Leeds any momentum within this match. It was the perfect recovery that you would want to see for Arsenal after these last few matches where they've struggled. However, Arsenal is also in my losers of the week because Bukayo Saka gets hurt right before kickoff, and now he's out in an unexpected amount of time. Mikel Merino is undergoing foot surgery and is likely to miss an extended period of time, which very well could be until the end of the season. After having the high of winning that game against Leeds, now you're having two of your key players, your best player in Saka, and then Mikel Merino, great midfielder and backup striker for you. Miss extended time. Arsenal will now have to probably make a panic signing in this January transfer window.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna have to be something that's last minute. I totally agree with you with Arsenal in the winners column. I'd never really thought about Arsenal in the losers column until you had mentioned it. But yeah, I mean a 4-0 win in the Premier League is what you needed as a good bounce back. Obviously, you're missing two pretty key pieces in your system. Um, so once again, I think adaptability will have to come into play. We talked about it at the beginning of the season. Arsenal needs a Arsenal needs to remain healthy. Arsenal needs to pull off these results against mid to low table sides. What they do, they pulled off the result, but now you have injuries. So now you're sort of facing a different challenge that's not necessarily on the pitch, but more off. Moving on to my winner for this week. Surprisingly, We did say that this team was going to be in the losers column every single week. Last week they played a phenomenal match against one of the best, if not the best side in the Premier League. And that has to be Spurs. Spurs drawing 2-2 with Man City wasn't necessarily on my bingo card for this weekend, but they didn't get the job done, but still they took advantage of all the opportunities. Man City dominated possession in this match. I think they even had more opportunities than this Spurs side. Yet you still pull off the 2-2 result. That's something that could get you kickstarted, and that's something that could get you rolling in your next couple of fixtures, which is what I really think you need if you're Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that they went down 2-0 in this match before halftime, conceding goals to Ryan Cherky and one to Antoine Semenyo, clawing back into this game, two late goals. I hate to say that Tottenham is in the winners of the list or winners of the week list because I never thought that it was truly going to be possible. But they absolutely have to be a winner of the week. They're not in my list, but they very well could have been. Again, as you mentioned, finding a way to pick up points. They have a very, very difficult fixture list coming up, which we've spoke about on last week's podcast. And to start it off with a draw against Man City, that's perfect for momentum. Yet, they still sit 14th in the Premier League.
Yeah, there's not really much you can do there, right? It's once again, I said it. If Spurs ends up doing something this season, I will admit that I'm wrong, but it's still too early to tell. Still too early to call. It's a we'll have to wait and see. I know we use this slogan or this
No,
this
no, no.
term
You
pretty.
use this slogan.
No, because you use it as well. You use it a couple of times every episode or
Yeah,
so.
but I picked
Um.
up one of these, a pocket thesaurus. So I've
Oh,
been looking at it, you know.
Mr. Studious. Okay, so you've gone a winner and a loser. I just did a winner. Are you gonna go a winner or a loser next?
I am going to go a loser. And it's from that very same match that you just mentioned. Manchester City drawing away to Tottenham Hotspur. Obviously, I feel like every other week on this show, we have a different rhetoric that we're pushing regarding Man City. It's either, hey, they're title contenders, hey, Pep Guardiola might have to go. I've thought about that quite a bit. Their only win in the last few, their only win this year in the Premier League, so since 2026 started, is a 2-0 victory at home to Wolves. It has not been a good showing for Pep Guardiola's side over recent times. I know last week they were a winner of the week because they were only 4 points behind they were only 4 points behind Arsenal. Now they're 6 points behind Arsenal. The gap is widening. And it doesn't really seem to be getting any easier for Manchester City. They have to play Liverpool this coming week in the Premier League. They also have the cup match, the second leg against Newcastle, which they do have a lead in, but it adds to the fixture congestion. It adds to, the emotional but also physical drain of this jam-packed schedule that Manchester City have to play. I do worry about Manchester City now.
Yeah, and it's very reasonable. It's very reasonable to look at this Manchester City squad and say, hey, well, these results and stuff like this. Obviously, Tottenham, they've been somewhat of a difficult squad to this Man City team. Um, Only whenever Man City's really about to win the Prem or needs Tottenham to pull a result is when they do back off. We've seen it before. But no, Tottenham playing good ball again. I don't know if they're enough of a team to say, oh well, yeah, Man City would have drawn this match or Man City this, Man City that. On paper, they do have the better team. They have the better manager. Um, but it's these things that they're gonna have to settle. It's these things that they're gonna have to work. Looking at Man City's schedule as well, they're gonna have to go ahead and I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. They have Newcastle next. They they have a couple of difficult games in Newcastle and Liverpool, but after that you have matches where you can go ahead and try to work things out, just like Arsenal, just how we mentioned last week. They have Fulham, Salford, and then Newcastle again. Uh, Again, adapt. try to make that fix and try something new. I mean, you're at that point in the season where you can do that. Just try not to lose your way, because who knows, maybe you lose Arsenal, and again, it's a wait and see.
So wait and see, Joao Lara Jr. Let's pick up the thesaurus. We're gonna find some words here in this. I'm gonna actually look it up because I don't feel like looking through the old hard copy. Wait and see thesaurus. Let's see. We can use bide one's time, play a waiting game, tread water, monitoring, active surveillance, watchful waiting, sit on the fence, see which way the wind blows, give it time.
See which way the wind
I
blows.
like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
let's see which way the wind blows for Man City for the
Uh,
rest of the season.
hats off to you, Joab. Do you have a loser, winner? What do you want to go?
Um, I started off positive. I'll go negative next. I have to talk about Aston Villa. Aston Villa losing to Brentford definitely was not on my bingo card either for this week. Especially with Brentford being down to 10 men, I was awfully surprised watching this match. I was bouncing back and forth between the United match and this match, and once again, just it's very difficult to lose a game like this when you've dominated possession, when you've had almost three times more shots than your opponent, when you've
Oh, it's
had
more
more
than
big
three times.
chances.
It's four times.
Is it four times? Yes, um, almost more than four times the shots of your opponent. You've had almost five times more passes. I don't understand what went wrong for this Villa squad, and they have to try to polish these things up, and they have to try to fix these mistakes if they want to go ahead and compete with Man City and with Arsenal for the Premier League crown, because they're still in it. It's just, and they're not that far off either. That's the problem.
Yeah, I completely agree. They're on my list as well. When you have 27 total shots and you fail to find the back of the net, you're always going to appear on a list negatively. Five shots on target, again, no goals for them. And to be honest, I feel like a lot of this kind of encapsulates what Aston Villa is at the moment. It was Tammy Abraham's first Premier League match with the club. Formerly played for them in the Championship on loan from Chelsea. But I think Aston Villa, what has made them good this season is that they were in this insane purple patch after a very difficult start to the season, and they knew they had to make up ground, and they did that and then some. Right? They were incredible, and people kind of listed them as that. Oh, maybe they could be that Leicester City title contender. I think I even said that on this podcast. The issue is they lack the quality outside of Morgan Rogers to be that great. Obviously, Douglas Luiz is good, but Buendia is not great. Jadon Sancho on the right's not great. They brought on Leon Bailey and Harvey Elliott, who weren't good either. Harvey Elliott has pretty much been hated by Unai Emery ever since he stepped into Villa Park. He's only played in 7 games on loan, and it's really not because of injury. It's just because he is not favored. And they were pushing for some of these other transfers. They had quite a few rumors. They were in on Brennan Johnson. I really think that they need something. They need to find something, or else there's a very real chance they could find themselves outside of the top 4 come the end of the season because of the way that Manchester United have been playing. 3 wins in a row. The way Chelsea has been playing themselves. They also have 3 wins in a row. Liverpool, how much longer can they be a sleeping giant? I think all things considered there, Aston Villa, if this slip keeps happening, they have 2 wins from their last 5 Premier League games. There's a very realistic chance, and I've said this already, that they end outside the top 4, which I think would be catastrophic.
Yeah, and it's especially for the way you start this season, that's not what you want at all if you're Aston Villa. These issues have to be fixed. They have to go ahead and once again reinforce themselves with whatever they can. But I guess going into this going into my next pick as well, now that we're here, I have to talk about Brentford. Brentford winning this match. Hey, you did all you could. You hung on. You you score eventually. Yes, you get the red, but again, you do everything you have to do to win this match, and you never back down as well. It's props to Brentford. They find themselves in seventh position. They're not that far off from the fourth position spot. It'll be interesting to see if they can go ahead and try to make a little push, make a little run. This could be the start of something beautiful for this Brentford squad as well.
I have to say, I have to issue an apology. Right, I have to issue an apology to Keith Andrews and Brentford. Before the start of the season, if we go back to some of our podcasts from preseason, I was talking about how Brentford are the most likely team to get relegated in the Premier League beside Wolves. I got that one right. And that Keith Andrews was probably going to be one of, if not the first manager sacked in the Premier League. I had great concerns because he is a set piece coach for Brentford, becoming the first team manager. It's his first ever full managerial position in his career. And while they do not play beautiful football, and it was shown against Aston Villa, it is ugly. They find ways to win matches. They find ways to take points, and there's a reason they're in seventh in the Premier League. It has been very, very impressive for Brentford.
Yeah, and again, these games are what brings momentum, and momentum's what brings these results, and eventually it could add up. Who knows? They're only 5 points away from the fourth position spot. They'll have to continue chipping at the wood. They'll have to continue working to what they want to get. But I mean, their next couple matches in the Premier League, they're not the easiest as well. They played Newcastle, eventually Arsenal, Brighton, and then it gets easier with Burnley. But if they can prove themselves against the Newcastle, if they can prove themselves against Arsenal, even then not go out and win the match, but even then pull out a draw, they can show that they have some pieces, some ingredients to make a beautiful recipe for the end of the season.
I think for Brentford's perspective, those Arsenal and the Brighton matches, you really shouldn't have too much fear in them because you're the home team in those games. And Brentford, since they've came into the Premier League, have consistently been a dominant force at home. They currently sit fourth in the Premier League based off home matches only. They've only dropped points in 5 home games. This is kind of where they've made their money, where they've made their fortunes over the years, is finding ugly wins at home. And I wouldn't be surprised if they can do that over this stretch. Joao, that was your loser. So I'm going to give you a winner of the week. And I'm going to give you. Let me pick. I've got my list here. I've got to pick which one.
Oi, oi, oi.
I am going to go Liverpool. Liverpool. Obviously, we've been fairly onslaught out on this podcast, fairly open about that, especially after the match that they had against Bournemouth a few weeks ago, where they lose 3-2. They hadn't won one in 5 games. They go back to Anfield and just absolutely dominate Newcastle. Florian Wirtz has one of his best games in a Liverpool shirt, a goal and assist. Hugo Ekitike scores a brace, though comes off with a little bit of a knock, which could be worrying, but I don't think it's too worrying. And then Konate scores. Finding a win like that in such dominant fashion as well, because they were all over Newcastle. Newcastle didn't create any chances. They didn't, they were able to have the ball, but it was only because Liverpool felt bad for them. Liverpool's now 6th in the Premier League, 39 points off 24 games. They're only 2 points behind Man United in 4th. It's not like things are that bad for Liverpool. I know we've spoke about, they haven't won in a while, which was all true. All of that was true. 4 draws, then that loss to Bournemouth. But with the way the rest of the Premier League's been and how close pretty much 4 through about 12 is, you find yourself in a pretty good position.
Of course, and the thing is, every match is gonna count in the Premier League. You pull off a result against Newcastle, a team that really, I'm not gonna say has never been, or who has always been difficult to beat, but definitely not scrubs as well. I mean, they find themselves right in the middle of the table. Um, it's a good result. It's a good result, especially after not winning your past what 4 or 5 matches, you have to take that and you have to continue to try to push for these results. Because if there's a Man United slip up, hey, there's your fourth position. But even then, their next match is against Manchester City on the 8th of February. That match is going to be electric. That match is going to have fireworks because no matter the moment that either club arrives in, they still duke it out, and it should be a great watch.
Absolutely should be. Absolutely should be. And I think, I just got to point out one thing right now. Liverpool scored in the 41st minute, and then they scored in the 67th minute. How tough is that? It's pretty tough. Pretty tough.
No,
But,
no,
all right, Joao, we get it. We get it. But again,
6-7 in the big 2-6. Come on now.
all right, bro. Again, though, finding these points, finding these matches where they can get back on track. I mean, this Man City game, we'll talk about it later in the week. That is going to be chaos. It really is. I think, we've seen time and time again when these two teams play each other, you cannot bet on that game whatsoever because you have just no idea. Joao, Lara, are you okay?
No,
You were hunched over and you looked like you were having like a heart attack. Are you all right?
I was coughing, but I muted it because my mic is so close, and I don't want people to hear the horrid sounds of me coughing.
Okay. Well, from my perspective, I thought you'd been like shot or something, but I'm glad to see you're okay. Joao, winner or loser?
I have to go for a winner, and I think this winner has to be fairly obvious. Given the trend that I've been doing for the past 3 weeks now, Manchester United, third
Uh,
win in a row. You go ahead and you pull out the result against Fulham. Not the most beautiful match, but I think there are some things that this United squad has had to have learned from this game. Number one is really they have to try to learn how to maintain a lead. You can't be 2-0 up, committing these mistakes inside the box. What Harry Maguire did yesterday with the penalty, unforgivable. You can't be doing that, especially after really the danger would have been cleared in the play. Fulham's second goal, can't really do anything about it. But again, one of the biggest things that I said is that if Michael Carrick wants to maintain this job as Manchester United's head coach full time, they have to try to pull off these results against these Fulhams. They have to try to pull off these results against these teams that they haven't been able to beat for a while. I think this is a decent start, but again, they're gonna need to do a lot more to try to not only maintain that fourth position spot, but with Villa dropping points, with Villa not being in such a great moment, you can push for that third position. You can push for more, but it'll all be dependent on how this side continues, if they can keep up this good moment. And hey, 3 wins in a row, they're two away from the United trying getting a haircut. So we'll see if that happens eventually. Last time what? Last time they got to 4 matches, they drew their fifth, or last time they won 3 in a row, they drew their fourth. I so it's I think this might be the furthest, if not the second time that they get pretty far in this 5-win challenge.
well, the next two games, Tottenham at home, which Tottenham, they're on the winners of the week list from Joao, and then West Ham away, relegation bound favorites. Joao, Michael Carrick is clearly implementing a style of play with Man United, and beyond just the formation. You look at the way they play within their midfield. I don't know how he has Casemiro moving like that in 2026, but they pass the ball so fluidly. It's a lot of movement. It looks beautiful. Are you in favor of A, that style, and B, if Manchester United said, hey, we're going to make Michael Carrick the full-time option beyond this season? What are your thoughts right now?
I think the style of play is beautiful. I think that this is a style that suits Manchester United with the pieces that they have right now. I think that it works pretty well having Bruno Fernandes, Giallo, and Casemiro. Now, for that second question, if that decision were to be made today, I wouldn't like it. Yes, you've pulled off 3 wins in a row. Congratulations. But the issue is, and I've said it once and I'll say it once again, if he can't if United can't pull off these results against these lower to mid table sides, what's the point? He we haven't seen enough from him, and I say we as in terms of the Premier League haven't seen enough from him to say, hey, yes, you can get the job. You're worthy of the job. And if they were to sign him today, I'd have that. I'd be precautious more than anything. I'd be precautious and just try to try to try to just see the way things go and really just wait it out.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree. I think it is far too early, but we'll just have to see how the wind blows. See, we're getting into that. We're getting into that bag work there. Um, Winner of the week for me. This has been a player who it's beyond winner of the week. We're going to leave the Premier League, get on a flight to Italy, and head to Turin. Weston McKennie this season has been absolutely incredible for Juventus, and it's probably the absolute dream for the U.S. men's national team to have McKennie in the best form of his career. It feels like playing in Serie A, scoring goals. So Joao, the microphone stand is meant to hold the microphone up, buddy. How about we just leave it, all right? All right. Again, this is probably the dream for the U.S. men's national team to have Weston McKennie in the best form of his life, in the best fitness of his life. Right now in Serie A, he just scored a goal against Parma on the weekend. Again, he's been so critical to Juventus' success this season. He's played in 35 games. Again, for the U.S. men's national team, this is what you love to see. You're muted.
Sorry, I was coughing again. Yeah, again for the for the U.S. men's national team, this is an absolute dream. Why? Because you want your players coming into the World Cup at a beautiful moment, at a moment where they're playing great football. When you have a player that's as passionate as Weston McKennie, and when you have a player with the work rate of Weston McKennie, you're destined to almost never fail in that department. Especially in the midfield, because you have someone who is so passionate about his craft. I totally agree with you there, and again, I think he's going to be very fundamental to this U.S. men's national team, and he's going to be a key figure. Um, the question is, will he be able to continue playing the same level of football with the same quality of football all the way till May June? Well. We'll have to see how the tide sort of turns for Weston McKennie and continue watching his development as he continues playing in this area.
Hey, great move there, Joao. Give me something. Give me a winner or loser.
I have to go for a loser now. Again, taking it out of England with the Premier League, I have to go ahead and head to Spain. My loser this week is Real Madrid. Yes, you pull off a result 2-1 against Rayo Vallecano, but it comes from a 98th minute penalty kick from Kylian Mbappe. It's really 100th minute listed here. But here's the issue, right? When you have a Rayo Vallecano side who is down to, what is it, 9 players, you cannot be drawing two, or you cannot be drawn 1-1 in the 90th minute when you are up 2 players, when you are Real Madrid, when you have the quality of players that is Real Madrid. What happened last week against Benfica? You end up losing 4-2 against Benfica. Again, a match that Real Madrid should not be losing. You get out of the top 8 in the Champions League table, and now you have to play Benfica in this sort of or not sort of in this uh in this 2 leg fixture. This Real Madrid squad, I don't know what's going on with them. I don't know what they need, but really they are in a very difficult moment. And yes, we said, oh, Kylian Mbappe, this Kylian Mbappe, that he has 35 goals in all competitions for his side this year. So really, what is going on for Real Madrid? Well, I don't know, because me personally, I don't watch them enough to be like, oh, well, this is what's going on. But even after this win today, you shouldn't be celebrating it, and this win should really feel like a loss after seeing just the way Real Madrid played against a Rayo Vallecano side that has been struggling all season.
Yeah, it's been a common theme with Real Madrid, and we spoke about that quite a few times. This isn't their first appearance on the losers of the week segment. Will they ever appear on the winners of the week? Not soon. They have too many egos in that dressing room. We've spoke about it time and time again, and I worry. I worry about it. Um, and I think one thing you have to do with the man with whoever they appoint is you have to get the most laissez-faire manager in the world. You have to get a manager who has no desire to implement a rigid system, has a desire just to tell these guys and give them the freedom to do whatever they want. Kind of like what Carlo Ancelotti did. And I think otherwise, all these guys, they're just going to get fed up. Now, I think also some of these guys are going to get fed up with each other in that way, but that's just kind of the reality of having so many egos and talents. Um, yeah, that's really all I have on Real Madrid. Joel, how many do you have left?
I've done I've done 3 losers. I've done 4 winners, so I have a loser left.
You have a loser left. Give us the
Yeah.
loser.
Ended on a negative note. I think this is fairly obvious, just the way what their season has been going. Taking it back to the Premier League, I have to go with Wolves. Wolves ended up losing this past weekend 2-0. They were on a somewhat positive stretch past couple games, but obviously you end up losing to Bournemouth 2-0. Never good. Again, it's very concerning for this Wolves squad, especially just looking at them at the table as well. You currently sit in last place, 7 points away from 19th, 12 points away from 18th. Very crucial times, very difficult times for Wolves, and it's not going to continue to get better.
Oh no, it absolutely isn't. That was really their chance to make it out the mud. Unfortunately for them, I don't want to talk about them because I feel bad. It's like kicking a kid while he's down and his glasses are broken. He's already got 2 broken arms and he's in a wheelchair. Just all these like terrible things. And he's for some reason he's caught on fire while the bus he's in crashed into a brick wall. That's the only way to really describe Wolves' season. Um, so I'm not going to comment on their struggles. It's not fair to put them in the losers of the week compared to
But
Tottenham.
no, no, no. The issue is here. They outshot they outshot Bournemouth. They controlled possession in many moments of the game. They had more big chances. They had it all there to maybe pull off a draw, if not pull off a win. It's just you can't not look at the side and say yes, they're struggling, but they're not making it any easier for themselves. They're not taking care of business whenever it's given to them.
They also just don't. They flat out don't have the talent though. I mean, you look at who started up top for Wolves in this game. Hwang Hee-chan, who has 21 goals and over 100 Premier League appearances as a striker for Wolves. Tolu Kadare, he scored 4 times this season. He's not prolific enough to really get you a goal in a game like this. So it's not fair. Stop picking on Wolves, Joa'o. To round things out, before we go to our transfer window talk, Wolves, or not Wolves, Crystal Palace, they're a loser of the week. Why? Because they failed to sell Jean-Philippe Mateta to Milan. Now, I know that would be getting rid of one of your best players, especially for a team that's only 9 points above the relegation zone. However, Mateta has more than peaked, and getting rid of him for any fee would have been key. He has not been that clinical this season. He's only got 10 goals through 34 appearances in all competitions, 8 goals in the Premier League. I think all things considered there, not getting that sale over the line due to a failed medical is very, very hurtful for Crystal Palace.
Yeah, and again, you need that money. You need this to sort of prop yourself up, put yourself in a better position, help you out. You don't do that, I really don't have anything else to say.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Um, January transfer window closes in an hour from now. An hour from now. So teams are going to be pushing for moves. While not over the line, Arsenal have pushed for Sandro Tonali as well as Leon Goretzka, weirdly enough. Neither of those are getting over the line. So we'll go and look at some of the transfers that have gotten over the line in the Premier League this season in the last little bit. Joao, which one should we start with? Lucas Paqueta to
Yeah,
to
I
where'd he go? Flamenco. That's where he went.
I mean, I have I have very mixed opinions on this transfer, just because I loved Paquetá when he first got to the Premier League. I thought he was gonna be the next greatest thing. Had a couple moments of brilliance, but just really fizzled out. I think that flamenco move is the best thing for him after having a very difficult time in England. He voiced himself that it was very difficult for him at times. I think it's the best for him. I think it's very difficult for West Ham just because you have to try to find someone to replicate that talent. I think the raw talent Paquetá had it was for him to do much more in the Premier League and not leave the way that he did.
Yeah, but really, why he left has nothing to do with the footballing standpoint. It's more so the betting allegations that he faced for so long, and whether no one really knew if he was guilty or not, and ultimately led to his downfall from the Premier League. Jean-Philippe Mateta will not be leaving Crystal Palace this transfer window. Just got that notification. So that again, that really does hurt for Crystal Palace. Uh, Man City, they made a sale. Oscar Bob. Joa'o, you love Oscar Bob. You've been a big Oscar Bob guy for really as long as I've known you. He now joins Fulham. No, you have. You have been a big Oscar Bob proponent. Don't laugh.
Me,
Yes, you absolutely have. You've mentioned it multiple times on the podcast. He struggled with injury the last couple seasons. Had that, I think it was a leg break or something last season. I can't remember exactly. So he hasn't really gotten back to some of the highs that he showed in his debut season. He is going to Fulham for about 30 odd million. What are your thoughts?
again, I think that Fulham they can take all the talent that they get. They have who is it? It's no, it's not Callum. They have Harry Wilson. Sorry, don't know why I'm confusing with Callum. They have Harry Wilson down the right hand side. He's had 8 goals, 4 assists. I think that provides a great amount of depth for this Fulham squad, and they can continue to sort of develop with the pieces that they have, and once again, depth is never bad, and competition is never bad either. Who knows? Who knows if we'll see Harry Wilson or Oscar Bob on top?
Yeah, I mean Harry Wilson has been one of the most informed players in the Premier League this season. 8 goals, 4 assists. So I do think it'd be hard to drop him unless you kind of move him centrally, so that way you could deploy Bob on the right. Emil Smith Rowe has been quite lackluster this season, so that wouldn't be the worst move in the world. Joao, what are you typing?
Can you really hear me?
I can. What are you typing? You didn't answer the question.
No, I'm just trying to see I'm trying to see if there's any last minute moves happening right now.
Well,
Breaking news.
breaking news. There really won't be. Um, there has been one more move that for some reason isn't getting off until the January transfer window. Jeremy Jacquet from Rennes will be joining Liverpool in the summer for a fee north of 50 million. This is one of the most talented young center backs in the Premier, not one of the most talented young center backs in the world, who will soon become one of the most talented young center backs in the Premier League. Liverpool obviously needs center back help. Ibrahim Konate has not been good enough this season. Van Dijk's getting older. A lot of things considered there. But I do think it's a little bit weird that Jacquet's not joining until the summer. This is somebody that Liverpool needs now. They need the depth, but they also need the quality that Jacquet can bring. What are your thoughts on this move, Joao? And do you think it'll pay dividends for Liverpool?
Again, I think that Liverpool they've been a good side whenever it comes to development of young players. I think they've done a very phenomenal job, and again, I think that they can continue to go ahead and reinforce themselves, and they can continue to grow, and they can continue to do many things with the jacket. And again, they're identifying their needs when they need them, um, so they're doing a great job on that front. And really, it's we're gonna have to see how he develops, how he plays in the Premier League to be able to say, oh yeah, well it was worth it. It was not worth it, but still smart investments from Liverpool. You can never go wrong with buying early.
I agree. I do not agree though with the fact that they're waiting until the summer. I talked about that already. But speaking of summer transfer window, Joao, it is February 2nd as we are on this little podcast we call the inverted microphone. Let's talk about the summer transfer window. Joao, what are some moves that you think could happen? Now, I'll talk about one in a sec, or I'll hint at one. Ricardo Pepi was meant to join Fulham this window. Fulham did not want to pay the price. Now, PSV had set. Fulham said they'll revisit in the summer. What do you think a Ricardo Pepi move to the Premier League would look like?
Again, I think Ricardo Pepi he's been a player who has been able to adapt to where he's at so far. He's been doing a decent job in Holland this year with PSV. They've pulled off many great results. He's really adapted to the style they like to play. Again, I think he can do it in the Premier League. I think that it's going to take a little bit of time. I think that he's going to have to adapt, but sharing the same striker room as Raul Jimenez, I think that can sort of serve him as a mentor as well. And I don't think that's a bad move for him. He's had a couple of good seasons. He's deserved this transfer, and I don't think it's that high of a profile club as well to be like, oh well, I don't think he's gonna succeed, or oh, I think he's gonna flop. I think this is the right move for Pepe, and I think it's a step in a good direction. And if you're a U.S. men's national team fan, I think you'd like this as well, just because if it does end up working out for him, if he does find this sort of new level in the Premier League, well, hey, that's a player you can have on your national team, and that's even more benefits that you have there.
I certainly agree. I think, he has been very good with PSV, 11 goals, 22 games, but he hasn't started much and he's still finding the back of the net. I do have to correct you. He doesn't play in Holland. He plays in the Netherlands. PSV's not they play in Eindhoven, which is not in Holland. It's just in the Netherlands. Those two words are not interchangeable. So it's all right. We can do better next time. But any other moves that you think would have to go down, like it for a Premier League side, in the summer?
Well, look, I think that obviously we have to talk about this. Arsenal has to look for a striker in some sort of way, form, capacity. I haven't really seen anybody rumored. I think that if you're Arsenal, you try to go for a transfer. You can't go for anyone from Liga NOS. I don't think that the Portuguese league has really developed these strikers to sort of be what they are. Again, Luis Suarez is playing pretty well in the Portuguese league so far, and not the Luis Suarez we know and love, or I know and love. I don't know about you, but you can't really target a player like that just because you don't know if you'll be able to play at the next level. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I agree. I agree. The one name that has been rumored is Julian Alvarez from Atletico Madrid. He has not been great goal scoring this season, only 11 goals in 34 games for Diego Simeone's side. I don't think he'd be the guy that you'd wanna buy because I don't think he has the price tag that you should pay. Now, I do have to say that he is much more than an out and out nine. He is not a Victor Gyökeres profile by any stretch of the imagination. He is going to, be able to help you and build up, which would be certainly helpful for Arsenal. But I just don't think it's worth it to pay that price tag, pay that much money. It's rumored north of 90 million. I know Arsenal are going to be desperate for a striker, but I just don't think it's going to be anything that you should really look to spend your money on. I mean, like who else really could there be for Arsenal?
Just really looking at it, it's really difficult, right? Because then you sort of have to start looking at these top strikers, and um, again, the top goal scorers are gonna cost you a pretty penny. It is being said that there are sort of difficult moments in Bayern with Harry Kane and Bayern Munich. There have been talks that who knows if he wants to re-sign the contract or not. Would you be open to a Harry Kane maybe joining an Arsenal possibly?
If Harry Kane's open to joining Arsenal, Joa'o Lara Jr., that
Well,
might
look,
just
I
be
you
one of the
no 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 no.
greatest.
Look, I understand. I understand because he played for Spurs and all of the politics behind it. But leaving Harry Kane's past behind and who he played with and what he did with that side and how he gave Arsenal these difficult moments. Being the player that he is, being the goal scorer that he is, would you be open to a player like Harry Kane joining Arsenal? Yes or no?
Absolutely yes, but I'm going to say no as well. All right, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Obviously, Harry Kane is one of the best goal scorers in world football. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. The issue is he's getting older. That's the fact of the matter. He's definitely a win now signing. If he were to join Arsenal, but he's also a guy that needs to play more as an out and out nine, despite him trying to play deeper and deeper. It feels like anytime he wears an England shirt, even then lately when he's been playing for Bayern Munich. I do think that football is going the way where an out and out number nine isn't really necessary. You look at how many teams nowadays, and especially in the Premier League, look at the difference between Erling Haaland and every other team, every other goal scorer. Igor Thiago is the only guy that gives him really a run for his money, and that's because Igor Thiago has a ton of penalty goals, right? I think with that, a Harry Kane might not be the best decision to go for. I mean, Victor Gyökeres is that kind of profile himself. Look at how he's doing. Obviously, the quality difference cannot be understated. I think a Julian Alvarez, if the price tag drops, would make the most sense for the profile, for all those things considered. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how the
The,
wind blows.
the issue, nice little play there. The issue is with a player like Julian Alvarez. If Argentina has a good World Cup, if he has a good World Cup, Argentina, that price is not coming down, and I don't think Arsenal will be early enough to try to sign him to be like, hey, we got him at a good time, we got him at a good price. It's gonna get more and more difficult, and just sort of looking at these rumors on transfer market as well. It's there's not really a lot going for these big clubs. There's not really any names that stand out right now, and really it's just one move that does interest me right now, or one
Oh
move
God.
that does seem that it's that's possible of happening in the summer. Denzel Dumfries is being rumored with Liverpool. I think that with the defensive woes that they've had, and sort of with Jeremy Frimpong not playing as a, you seem surprised there. What's going on?
Arsenal just signed a defender for 3.2 million. Jaden Dixon, 19 years old. Uh, Go on about Dumfries.
I think that Denzel Dumfries is in the good moments that he had with Inter Milan and I want to say past 3 seasons, he's been not only great defensively, he's been able to go up, attack, still have enough energy to come back. I think that he would be a great signing for this Liverpool squad. I think it's a good addition of depth, and I think that's a player who can help that back line, especially with the woes that they've had so far.
You know what? I have to disagree.
Really,
I think Dumfries would be going down the direction that Liverpool shouldn't go down with whoever their next right back is. You know, they lose Trent Alexander and they were like, okay, Trent's way too attacking. So who do they go out and sign? They go out and sign Jeremy Frimpong, the most attacking right back option on the market. Denzel Dumfries is not as attacking as Frimpong, but he's still much more known for his attacking presence than his defensive presence. They need to find somebody who is more committed to a defensive cause. And I think that would be the best signing for Liverpool this window, or not this window, in the future.
it's just the issue with fullbacks, especially these days, is that they don't. It's rare. I want to say it's rare that you see a fullback that's not going up to attack. It's rare that you see a fullback that's not dedicated to also going up and trying to contribute on the attacking front. So I think. Go ahead.
I understand that, but both Dumfries and Frimpong are not known for their defensive capabilities. They are not quality defenders. Dumfries certainly much better than Frimpong, but I think they need to get a guy who is great defensively. They need to get a guy who can lock down some of these opposing wingers in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, I totally don't disagree with that. It's just with the cards are being dealt, with the amount of money that they've spent so far as well. And I mean, last transfer window, it wouldn't be a senseless transfer. I want to say it wouldn't be too expensive either. Um, I just because of the age that Dumfries has had, and just because of sort of um many factors, I don't think Liverpool spends too much. And again, if you don't spend too much, if it's in the ballpark of maybe 30, 40 million pounds, even less, I don't think that's a bad investment.
I get it. I get it. I can certainly see both sides of the coin. Um, but we'll see how the wind blows, huh? We'll see how the wind blows. Um, Man United, Marcus Rashford. What do you think happens there? Because Marcus Rashford has been playing well for Barcelona. Forgot he was there for a second. And Michael Carrick has said that if he becomes the permanent manager, he would like Rashford back, but there's a buy clause for pretty cheap. It's like 30 million, I believe. What do you want to see the future Marcus Rashford? Where do you want him?
I don't like the way he's sort of bouncing back and forth. Obviously, it really wasn't his fault. With Amrim, I think he was more dropped. He was dropped in a very weird form, in a very weird way, especially with Amrim saying that Rashford wasn't putting in effort at practices and stuff like that. It's very difficult to say. Now, the chemistry that Michael Carrick and Marcus Rashford had in the past before, I like it, especially because of the way this team is playing, in terms of Manchester United, the way Marcus Rashford is playing as well. He can provide sort of that explosiveness, but at the same time, it's very difficult to see him playing in this Manchester United squad, just with the way that Cunha and Burmo, Giallo have been playing. It's very difficult to go back and forth, and even then, he's doing great in La Liga. How is that going to translate back to the Premier League? Yes, he's had good moments, but will that work out for him? There's many variables that come into play, and it's too difficult to say yes or no. You ask me personally, I think his time with Manchester United is past. I've said this before, and there's no need to reopen a wound, and there's no need to try to resort to a player who, yes, had great moments with this squad, who, yes, did great things with this squad. I think that ship has sailed a long time ago.
I think it's unfortunate to say that because it is the reality of the situation that Manchester United will probably never get to watch Marcus Rashford play for their side ever again. However, and I think that hurts, especially given the fact that he's an academy player. Man United's history with playing academy players, but you're right. The ship has sailed. The wind's blown. We've seen how the wind blew there,
The
and
tide the tide has turned.
yeah, all the things we waited and we
The
saw
the
that
leaf is turned as well.
yeah, the chapter has ended. We're writing a new chapter in the books. But yeah, I mean, I do have to agree there that Marcus Rashford. Yeah, I think it's a great addition for Barcelona. I think if you're Barcelona, you're absolutely loving that, loving to hear that. Hey, he'll probably never play for United again, but we'll see. We'll see. Any other transfers you want to talk about? Any other potential transfers? Maybe a Raheem Sterling. I'm just kidding there. But what do you think?
Um, no, really, I'm interested to see what Man City's approach is for the summer, especially since they get that midfield taken care of. There's a couple of pieces that they can get at center back, which I think would help. Um, but for some reason I'm blanking. I can't off the top of my head. Um, but who do you think is in the biggest need for like the summer window? Who do you think in the Premier League specifically is is in the biggest need, and it could be someone who stay up, it could be someone to go for a title push. What are your thoughts there?
All right, I'm gonna give you quite a few sides from a few different tiers. Arsenal find the striker. We've already beaten that horse to death, and then brought it back to life, and then beaten it back to death. And we'll probably do it every time we talk transfers on this show through the end of the show. All right, until we stop filming the inverted microphone, we'll probably be begging the inverted microphone to, or not the inverted microphone. We'll be begging Arsenal to sign a striker. Tottenham find a whole new squad. Yeah, absolutely useless, the whole team. We can talk about that, but they're already on our losers of the week every week. Somehow, some way, by the grace of God, they made it into the winners of the week. Bet you any money next week they'll be back on the losers. Crystal Palace, 15th, only one spot behind Tottenham. I think Crystal Palace, they need to spend the dough, right? You know, it has been a difficult Premier League campaign. They're out of the FA Cup, and in the Conference League, it actually hasn't been that impressive either. They finished 10th in the Conference League, behind some great sides in the Conference League. I'm going to read you some of the teams they finished behind, and I'm going to ask you to guess where in the world they play. Rakow Chetakachawa.
Oh my god. Uh Poland.
Fairs. Good guess.
Oh
AK
man.
Larnaca.
Norway.
Couldn't be farther. Literally the opposite side of
Really?
Europe. Cyprus. Lausanne.
Who?
Lausanne Sport. Lausanne Sport.
Wow, I'm so bright. Estonia, I don't know.
No, what on earth has happened to you, Joa'o? You look like you're in an oven. Lausanne Sport play in the Swiss league. Nathan Butler Oyedeji is actually one of their strikers. Arsenal legend, by the way. Oh, now you're darkening up.
The sun was at his peak. I felt like the LeBron meme there for a second. You are my
Oh,
sunshine.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. But yeah, Crystal Palace has been disastrous. Mateta's absolutely not informed by any stretch of the imagination. Yarmi Pino has been nothing but don't want to say a flop, but he hasn't quite been as good as the expectation was, especially for the price tag. They've got to find something. They've got to find something there. What are your thoughts? And do you have any
Yeah.
other sides?
No, I mean obviously we've talked about the cities. We've talked about United many times. I'm not beating that horse to death. What do you think is Chelsea's approach?
Spend as much cash as possible on players under the age of 20 that will likely never play for Chelsea and all will play for Strasbourg.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean,
Sounds
I
about
mean,
right.
I genuinely could not tell you right now what on earth Chelsea needs to do because Alejandro Garnacho, he might be the worst player I've ever seen off the ball, but when you put him on the ball, he's even worse. You know, it's actually really bad. He's actually useless. And this is a guy that I talked about a few weeks ago, putting fear into Arsenal fans' heart when he played in the EFL Cup in the rematch this tomorrow. So I'm quite nervous about that. Cole Palmer can't stay fit. They have absolutely no idea what a striker is. Joao Pedro useless. Liam Delap, useless. Jamie Gittins on the wing, useless. And so, I mean, you have three decent players, three good players, right? Cole Palmer, when he's fit, which he hasn't been. Moise Caicedo, when he's staying on the pitch, not getting sent off or doing the dumbest thing you've ever seen. And Enzo Fernandez, with no caveats, right? The rest of the team is absolutely atrocious. I mean, the back line Chalaba has been really good, but he was expected to be on his way out 4 months ago, right? Malagusto hasn't been good. Reece James is good too, as well. I forgot to mention him. Reece James is very good. Him also when he's staying fit, but he has done a good job at that this season. So fair enough, Reece James. But we'll see. I mean, I think you just have to spend as much money as possible if you're Chelsea and hope that in a few months' time, you're not where you are right now.
This is like throwing something at the wall and just hoping it sticks.
This is not. I wouldn't even say it's like that. This is like throwing something at the wall blindfolded. And when you get what you're throwing at the wall, like 3/4 of the way through your throwing motion, it is. It's and you're backwards too for some reason. It's just the way Chelsea is approaching literally anything. Hey, they just got Mamadou Sarr back. They just new signing. They've recalled him on loan from Strasbourg. Oh, they might be back. Chelsea title contenders. Is this their year? No, absolutely not. Joa'o, what are your final thoughts on anything in the world?
Yeah, no, I think that football is in full swing once again. I say this every week. Football's in full
Yeah, you
swing.
do.
You love to see it. Honestly,
It's
EFL Cup.
it's been in full swing for about 4 months, by the way.
Well, still, it's in full swing. There's many pieces moving. There's many matches left to play. And I guess thoughts outside of this. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the podcast. We really appreciate your follows, comments, likes, um, and once again, just going back to those comments, whether they're funny, whether they're hurtful, we appreciate each and every one of them. So thank you guys for joining us once again, week in and week out. Reese, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts. Keep calling Joao JV Torta. Make sure. Yeah, pretty much that. Joao, where can they follow you?
They can follow me at Joao Lara on X, Sports with Joao on Instagram, and VJL Football on TikTok.
Follow me at Rees Goodall on Twitter, at ReesFC on TikTok, Instagram. I don't really care. But I do care about you following the Inverted Microphone on all platforms at the Inverted Microphone. Joao Koa Ferrari told me there's actually an easy way to get the podcast on Apple Podcasts. So figure that one out. Speak to Koa. So soon, Apple Podcast, we will be there. But right now, we're just on YouTube and Spotify, Big Goons on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram as well. So make sure to Big Goon to Joao. It's a beautiful game, but it's a way more beautiful game when Chelsea spend £2 trillion in a transfer window and end up with somehow, some way, a worse squad than they had the last transfer window. Goodbye.